Hello everyone, it is finally time for my review on all of the Superstitious items that are currently in Miner's Haven. Now if you're asking why this video took so long, it was because I was waiting for all of these items to be adjusted because the items don't stay the same 9 times out of 10 day 1. They usually always get changed either immediately because they're broken or they're terrible. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. Pandora's Box. It is a cell furnace, so by default, it is terrible. There is no way you can make a cell furnace good unless it is absolutely incredible. This one is especially bad because if you have more than 5 ores placed at a time, it refuses to take ores. It's just lol nah to your ores. It's not even like the multiplier is good. I'm pretty sure there is a old enchantment nearby that can do near the exact same amount. The Devourer of Nightmares. Let's just take the old trusty Gargantuan mine here. 5 TDD. Not too bad. This one. TDD. Oh. UD. Up, and now it's declining it because the Heyview Mine's nearby. Is it better? I guess technically, yeah, than the Devourer of Nightmares. Is it so much of a significant difference that you need to get it? No. The only other thing that it's good with, by the way, is it's a decent research point giver. However, if you're going to have ores spamming in order to get the most out of it, it's not going to work anyway because it'll just close. So the research points that it gives are completely useless. Now, I'm going to give a score on looks too. It actually looks alright. However, terrible cell furnace. Alright, now the Dre Dions Gauntlet. Now we actually have a little bit of history with this one. This is the first Superstitious item that was added to Miner's Haven, but was available only recently. People wanted me to make a review on this item when it first came out, but I'm not really a huge fan of making reviews on just a single item if it doesn't have much going for it, which it really didn't. It was just an insanely broken multiplier. And secondly, I never got it, despite multiple people saying that I did. I didn't. I didn't get it until this update came out. So I never could make a review on it if I wanted to. But now that it's out, and it's doing its own thing, it sucks. Kind of. It's good if you're trying to make the most amount of money as possible and you're not a super high life, like going for Centillion, for example. But on its own, it's not good. Basically, it's just an ore illuminator, but much better. It takes about twice the time, but it upgrades your ore substantially within that time. I think it takes 10 seconds to finish it. So if we were to just stop it for a moment, it upgrades your ore immediately by a couple hundred times. And that's not even enough reversible conveyors to stop it. And then it just kind of chills in La La Land for a little bit and upgrades a absolute ton more. Until it eventually caps itself. And then once it does, you can send it through upgraders again. 5,000 is the cap. Or rather, 2,000 is the multiplier. And then it goes through and you can use it now. Now, this is not good for speed setups at all. If you're going for speed, do not use this item, period. And absolutely nothing can be done to stop the education from happening, so you gotta let it run its course, which I do not have the patience for, to be honest, so there we go. Now here's an item that really, really sucks. Good idea, but it really sucks. So here we have an Elysium Solemnity? We'll just say that. Solemnity. There we go. It processes ores at 200,000 times. Now you're thinking, well, okay, that sounds pretty good. That sounds excellent even. Great. There's a slight problem with it though. You see this void star right here? You can't use it. Same goes with the black dwarf. Alright, well, fair enough. Void drive? You can't use that either. Oh. So this item, goodbye, move item, withdraw. It's trash now. You have to be on some next level speed setups for even the void drive to not be a viable item to use so you can use this furnace. This furnace would have to be an absolute insane... Hello. Would have to be an absolute insane multiplier for it to even be remotely worth using. Let me show you an item. The Book of Knowledge. It gives 50,000 times. Except it can be used with anything. At least 50,000 times is the cap on it. It's not too hard to get it to its cap. And this gives 4 times the amount. So, for 4 times the amount of money, you are not able to use a Void Star on it or a Void Drive. This, you can use anything. So, an upgrade as small as just throwing your ore through a quantum ore cleaner justifies not being able to use Void Drive and Void Star, apparently. So, there you go. Maybe I should actually fact check that. Here comes the ore. Didn't process. Cool. How about normally? Now it does. So yeah, 200,000 times. Either buff its process or make it work completely differently, because no one is ever going to use this. However, it looks nice. I will give it that. Delta Phantom. This thing's actually okay. It's kind of similar to the Gauntlet in the case of it's not really worth using if you're going for absolute speed, but it's also not very worth using if you only have a few ores running through your setup, because this thing yoinks your ores and kind of holds onto them for a second, and then it lets them all go at once. Now, if you're having like 10,000 ores running, sure, it's fine. But if you have a very few particular ores only running, then your ores could end up being G'd in this thing without any way of escaping until you get a mine to fix that. However, the upgrade itself is good. One ore in particular gets super upgraded, which is the 11th ore, and the 10 ores get a normal 100 times multiplier. Yeah, the good ore in comparison is a 5,000 times multiplier, which is great, to be honest. However, I feel like this thing shouldn't be changed, to be honest. I think it's good as it is for its specific purpose. Its specific purpose is not for speed, I believe. So, honestly, I don't think it's terrible. That being said, I like the upgrade part of this a lot. It looks great. Almost reminds me of the Heartbreaker, just like in the way it looks. Which, if you don't know, I like the way the Heartbreaker looks. This thing is basically that, but just with the thunder. And it being a lot stronger, of course. The Heyview Mine is basically very good. You take a furnace, put it down. That's a bit of money. Sextillions, you say? That reminds me of another mine, Gargantuum. Now, design-wise, I think it looks pretty nice. However, I do remember a very old version of the Heyview Mine that was just completely obnoxious in the way it looked and in particles. It was so overkill that it looked great, and would be great as if it was this now. But this also looks pretty good. It's basically a simplistic version of that mine. And the ore is pretty good in value. It's also pretty big though, so that's a warning. The ore itself has a lot going for it. It has shields that cock block negative effects, like explosions for instance. And it's immune to fire, poison, and I believe radiation as well. So in other words, this ore can go through quite a bit. It doesn't have any of the special effects Gargantuum Mine has, but it's also like a third of the size of Gargantuum, so there's that. Or half the size, I suppose. Does it weigh 10 trillion pounds like Gargantuum does? I actually do not know that. Let's see. The ore cannon. Yep, there it is. No, it doesn't. You can yeet this. More importantly, can you cut this ore in half? Come on. Yes, you can, so that just makes it twice as good by default. The ore itself also kind of acts like a symmetry mine because it upgrades itself a little bit for a short period of time. Just a random, like, little thing that it does. I mean, it's neat, but it doesn't help too much. But there you go. Heyview Mine itself, I think it's a pretty good mine. And it looks nice, so there you go. Is it qualified for the Superstitious tier? I would say so, yeah. Tyrants Throne is one hell of a looking upgrader, and the way it functions is basically like a Dreamer's Might on steroids. It basically, the better your ore is, the better the better off you are with this furnace. And I would say it's actually kind of like very fierce competition with the Book of Knowledge, because your ore, if it's worth enough, is better than the Book of Knowledge by default. However, if it's not worth enough, then it wouldn't be, of course. And the only thing I see that's pointless about this thing is that its apparent cap is at $1 centillion. Like, your ore has to be worth that to get the cap, which is 75,000. And I think that's a bit much, considering you're gonna be good off anyway. You're gonna be well off anyway, with your ore being $1 centillion. You could put that in a basic furnace and skip 20 lives anyway. So I don't think that cap is as high as, like, I don't think it should be as high as that. But the furnace itself isn't terrible, in my opinion. Here's iron mine ore coming into it, of course, so it's not going to be worth a great amount of money. Still 500 times, though. That's kind of high. Higher than I thought it'd be. I like the look of this furnace. Here's, I guess, the mythical god that this furnace is based off of. Doesn't he look edgy? I'm inside of him now. I can be in the throne. Alright, it's good. Use it if you want to, I guess. Book of Knowledge still might be better for practical use. Optic origin. This thing is a little picky. If you have ores that don't suck for this thing, then you're good. Otherwise, it's not good. Default night ore on this thing is a solid 1 time, so you're making some fat bank there. It's other things where if you have, I think, helium on it even, will make it not suck. I will find out. I see. So they catch on fire, but otherwise, yeah, you're fine. 300 times. Default ore, I believe it's still good because it's daytime, so it'll be 100 times. Try gargantuan ore. Normally, it's just 10 sextillion. And that's a bit higher than the 100 times it usually is because of the ore being the way it is. Yeah, here we go. So its default multiplier is basically 100 times during the daytime and not 100 times during the nighttime. It's either 1 or 0 times, I believe. And its other effects, like the ore being neon, for instance, I believe, or having a force field of some sort, will amplify the upgrade that this thing gives. And if it's daytime, the upgrade is further amplified. So yeah, I would say this is a good upgrader and you should use it. And that's about it. The way it looks is quite magnificent, by the way. Looks like an ice queen's dream. Elsa would approve of this item, I suppose. Queen Elsa Spider-Man syringe channels approve of this. Now here's upgraders by default are pretty good when they're in the Superstitious tier. Now let me show you the ones that are absolutely like broken. Starting with the death cap. You want a wild spore that's absolutely incredible, just by the looks of it alone. Get this. Its default multiplier is a very low and pathetic 130 times. Only a little bit better than a true overlord device with its default multiplier? Disgusting. Basically, any status effect of the goddamn rainbow will change the multiplier of this upgrader. Anything from poison to radiation to sparkles, like my character is. Even voided items, which is interesting. So let me just add a portable flamethrower, for instance, which would make the ore 5 times by default. And would you look at that? Its upgrader is slightly better. Instead of it being 130 times, it was 140 times. However, you can add a bunch more garbage to it, and it changes it quite a bit. It seems like the highest you can practically get this thing is around 200 times, which, either way, 130 times, 200 times, it's a great upgrader, honestly. So, yes, use it. It looks magnificent. Looks like a wild spore and Dreamer's Might had a child. It looks good. Damn it. Vulcan's Wrath. It is good. The end. The Vulcan's Wrath has an upgrade that doesn't suck 50 times. And you can make this suck even less by taking a ore of any kind. Let's take a wubbium. And just feed it into the volcano's mouth. And what will come of this is the volcano will become very happy and explode its goods everywhere, and then the upgrade becomes a lot more of 300 times. And your ore gets set on fire, which is great. Will I go in there and die? Nope, I was honestly expecting that. Dislike should be changed to make your person die. Like the look of this, it's literally just a volcano with beautiful particle effects, and its multiplier is excellent, even without the mine, but I would definitely use the mine if you can. That is its only drawback, but other than that, it's absolutely great, and you should use it. I think anything that's trying to replicate the Hydra or the Big Bad Blaster by default is going to be a great upgrader, especially if it's in the great Superstitious tier. So you would already know that the Meatus Blaster was going to be good just before the update even came out. And of course, it delivered. So here's how it upgrades. Good. Pretty much this blaster has ranged upgrades anywhere from 36 to somewhere in even the 100s. Yeah, 255 is apparently its maximum upgrade, which I'm sure is uncommon, but yeah, there it is. Now, a drawback on this thing is that it blows up an absolute ton, so beware of that. However, it is of course a better version of the Hydra Blaster. And you should absolutely craft about 10,000 of these for your Void line, which is the only use for this upgrader. Because you will have a Void Star. Maybe, once you get this item. Honestly, using this for Centillion setups, I didn't even think of that. If you can, that is absolutely amazing. And it will definitely help you in getting your Centillion. Now, the looks of this item, I absolutely love it. I also love the god, quote-unquote, of this upgrader, which is just a frog, which I think is excellent. I think I'll just let the upgrader speak for itself at this point. I'm going to make a Void line and use the Meatus after the Hydras. Grab your neighborhood-friendly Gargantuan Mine, and let's make a Void setup real quick. Okay, I got 10 Hydras and 10 Meatus Blasters, so of course just test the Hydras first. I should get quite a bit of money. Duodecillions seem to be the default amount. TDD maybe, which honestly, considering the circumstance, pretty good. So default, let's say like 100 duodecillion, and TDD is like the excellent amount. And now with the Meatus Blasters, we're definitely getting more because my money is moving. So TDD seems to be the default amount now, with QDD being the great amount. So not as much as I was expecting to be different. So you can most definitely pair these and not have the biggest difference in the world. Like, your Hydras aren't useless, is what I'm saying. However, they're definitely a suffix better when you have 10 of them versus 10. So there's that, I suppose. The Meatus Blasters are definitely easier to make than the Hydras, simply because Dragon Blasters are so much rarer than the Catalyst requirements are for the Meatus Blaster. The only thing you really need that's going to cost you anything is being sacrificed 2, which isn't saying much. Hello, me. And also just having the bulk of reborns that you will need in order to craft these, which isn't a terrible amount. I mean, I think the hardest thing of the Sage Kings or the Frog Gods requirement is a King Gold mine, and you will eventually get one if you haven't yet. So does the Meatus Blaster pass? Yes. There's my review of the Superstitious items. I hope you found it educational or remotely funny or good. I'll see you in some more future Miners Haven videos, and yeah, that's about it.